This is Dabu 7. We have a huge war front that is about to open up in the Caribbean and in Latin America, and this involves everything all the way up to the U.S. southern border. And it's going to affect the homeland here in America. We now have 3 U.S. missile destroyers heading toward Venezuela to combat Maduro. It has everything to do with what they're saying is this narco-terrorist units that are moving about. Now, they went out and they labeled Tren de Aragua and the Sinaloa cartel as designated terrorist units, meaning they're going to treat them like any other terrorist they ever have in the past, and they're going to mow them down and try to put them to an end. Now, we have Maduro not taking too kindly to that, saying, you can try to send whatever you want, I'm going to counter it. The U.S. sending 3 destroyers down into the area, surveillance aircraft. You have the P-8 surveillance planes that are going back and forth in the region. They even have attack submarines stationed, like it's about to go off. Maduro saying you can send all of it. He's going to deploy 4.5 million militia members to counter these outlandish threats. And remember, they've sent Tren de Aragua all the way up into the United States. They've been doing stuff all over this country, inside the country. And there's a network going from Venezuela all the way to here. And a lot of it funneling the drugs like fentanyl and other exotic drugs into the United States. That's taking the lives of hundreds of thousands of people in this country. So this is the setting. It looks like big war is about to unfold and people are not even paying attention. And it looks like it's going to come raining down on Maduro. So this could affect things. There could be major blowback is my biggest concern in terms of this country, bombings, attacks, anything that they can throw at us in the midst of this. But as we can see, it's definitely set up. At any moment now, it's going to commence. Join me on the live streams where I'm talking about this in greater detail. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you.
This is the book of Luke 21, and I'm going to start at verses 8. And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them, but when ye shall hear wars and commotions, be not terrified. For these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then he said unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, Ba'ashem HaKakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Nor in this gospel, brother, of the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, wherever it may be. I'm the brother Mahaloya, coming back with another lesson through the Spirit. Lord's will to be edifying. Titled, 3 U.S. missile destroyers sail towards Venezuela to combat narco-terrorists. U.S. is once again involved in another war, and I find it funny how they're quick to try to beat up on these smaller targets, but yet you got Russia and China and Iran making outright threats to you, but you don't seem to be batting an eye at that. But you want to go after the quote-unquote little guy because it doesn't really pose a threat to Esau's hegemony, versus the tenets of Russia, China, and America. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, which poses a global direct threat to his global economy, So this devil is involved in another war, which, is all part of Yahawashi's second coming, because they can receive some blowback from their allies, whether it be China, Russia, these other countries. They can receive blowback from that, because it says the flow of fit now from China to the United States, as we know that America used drug cartels to smuggle in drugs into the border. Okay, so it really is about money at the end of the day, and them combating narco terrorists at the end of the day can be just a money grab or resource grab, just like in Afghanistan. Just like parts in Iraq when they went over there to grab particular resources to be able to fund their revenue, But it says more details are emerging about President Trump's latest show of force in Latin America aimed at narco-terrorists. Cartels fueling America's drug crisis, which claims 100,000 lives a year according to Reuters. But that's funny though, because how they getting this shit in here if it ain't for the, you got what they call border, U.S. border custom. You have U.S. What they call borders, customs and control. Like I think it's the U.S. customs agent. And they get all the shipments in from the ports, and they do like a screening on what's what. And if anything seems to be suspicious, it's not allowed to come in the U.S. But somehow, some way, billions of dollars of drugs ends up on the streets of these cities. You want us to believe that America is not behind it? Okay. But it says here, 3 Aegis destroyer surveillance aircrafts and an attack submarine are being deployed to international waters in Venezuela. It says sources close to the media outlet says 4,000 sailors and Marines will support the large force projection mission that includes 3 U.S. Aegis guided missile destroyers, which is the USS Gravely, the USS Jason Dunham, and the USS Sampson, along with P-8 surveillance planes and other world ships and at least 1 attack submarine. It says the operation will run for several months and focus on enhancing hemispheric defense to dismantle narco-terrorist cartels and command and control nodes that funnel drugs into the U.S. It says also this force projection is a signal to Beijing to limit Chinese activity in the region, particularly around critical infrastructure and trade choke points. It says the Trump administration has put Mexico's Sinaloa cartel and Venezuela's Trinidad on notice, classifying them as foreign terrorist organizations. But the broader understanding is that this is all part of a hemispheric defense, and it's really just a show of power at the end of the day. All right, because we know that these nations are gearing up to go to war, and they have to protect the interests of the dollar, even though the dollar is collapsing. So it says here, the deployment also signals to the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro's government, that Washington is not playing around. But Maduro told the nation on Monday that his country would defend our seas and our skies and our lands, and he hinted at what he called the outlandish, bizarre threat of a declining empire. All right, and basically they're coming over there to take, and he knows it. It says on Tuesday, Mao Ning, a spokeswoman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, said combating drugs is a shared responsibility around the world, but we hope that a major country should play the role responsibility and maintain regional peace and stability and properly handle the issues together with relevant countries. Okay, so basically Venezuela was like, look, they call it outlandish, bizarre threat of a declining empire. So they see your weakness. All right, so he said he wants to deploy 5.5 million troops to the region to combat America. Now, I don't, let me see. How many troops does the let's see what they have, armed forces. Okay, that's the army. Let's do armed forces. Okay, so it says the Venezuelan armed forces, known as the Fuerza Armada Nacional Bolivariana, have between 95,000 and 150,000 active combatants, according to the Venezuelan Ministry of Defense. In addition, these active combatants, the FANB, includes a growing national militia, which is made up of hundreds of thousands of reservists. It says President Maduro also recently announced plans to mobilize over 4 million militia fighters in response to what he perceives threats from the U.S. Now, where he's going to get the rest of the numbers from, I don't know. All right, but it's an interesting play on words. Unless, China, I don't know. It's just kind of hard to figure it out. But let's look here, 2025, military Venezuelan recruits. What's all this bullshit? I don't want to see this, man. What the hell? It's not really telling me anything. Unless he gives help from these other Latin American countries, and then you got Malaysia, which is pretty much a province of China. That's also power. That's also possible. So unless he brings back a drive, but regardless of it, this man is always in war. All right, and that's just the spirit of Esau comes in. It's the book of Psalms 140. It's not going to be a long lesson. 140 and 2. it says here, deliver me, O Yahweh, from the evil man, and preserve me from the violent men, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually they gather together for war. All right? And that's what Esau does. He's a warmonger. It says, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually they gather together for war, and they have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips. Salah, yeah, it goes to their deception, because they're known for creating conflicts as to be justified on overthrowing governments and regimes, man. It's set up democracy and central banks. It says, Kimi, O Yahweh, and America already bankrupt Venezuela, so, I mean, what more do they want? Even though that's a country that's rich in oil and resources, but still. It says, but keep me, O Yahweh, from the hand of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent men who have purpose to overgo my thorns. And we know the people of Venezuela is our Israelites, man. All right. Let's go here. Book of Habakkuk 2, and I'm going to start at verses 5. Yeah, because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, need to keep it at home. Yeah, the fuck you going in their waters for? Like, when you look at the map, it's not called the Gulf of Mexico. It's called the Gulf of America now. You know, narcissist Trump. He is a proud man, need to keep it at home, who enlarges his desire as hell and as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathering unto him all people, and heaping unto him all nations, man. And that's how Esau took over the world. This is why the scriptures say that how the hammer of the earth how has the hammer of the earth ceased, roughly paraphrasing it. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long to him that lighten himself with thick clay? Yeah, that's talking about that, because we know deep down inside they're not trying to stop the drug crisis in America. Okay, that was never Babylon's intention on making people healthy, getting fentanyl out the streets and this and that. When under the Biden administration, they had actually places that was giving it out for the people. You know, they said the best way to fix them is to give it to them. You know, you think they're gonna do away with that? Fuck no. You think they're gonna stop the cocaine and the meth and all the other drugs coming in the country? No, they're not, because I mean that's undocumented money right there. You see, like years ago, they had $1 billion. I think it was like a JP Morgan ship, a freight ship, that they see $1 billion of drugs and then miraculously disappeared. The fuck happened to it? Right? But it says, shall they not suddenly, or shall they rise? It says, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be unto booties from them, which is spoils, because all the nations are going to partake in the spoils of Babylon upon shooting the missiles here. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, and because of men's blood, for the violence of the land of the city and all that dwell therein. All right, so there's going to be a recompense on this place. But woe to them that cover the evil covenants to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Yeah, harboring the world's resources, weapons, and stealing people's investments, so therefore he can be the king of the hill. It says, thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. All right, and people were fed up with Babylon, man. All right, it says, for the stone shall cry to the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. But woe to him that builded a town with blood, and established a city by iniquity, rape, rob, and murder, because the scriptures say in her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints, man. And we know that Esau used a lot of these drugs to keep Jacob in a lethargic state of mind. But it says, behold, is it not the Lord of hosts, that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity? Which, that was part of my last lesson, going into these corporations. It says, for the earth should be filled with the knowledge and glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. But woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth the bottle to him, that maketh him drunken, that thou mayest look upon his nakedness, man. Right? So now, it's playtime is over. So we're going to see what comes of this. In my opinion, I mean, everything is important, but it's not like the big bad boogeyman. But nonetheless, America can't afford to fight another war. Okay, they're too stretched, too thin. Now they're fighting a war on this side. They're fighting a war in the Middle East. They're fighting wars all over the world, and they don't have the reserves to do it. So therefore, they're going to have to bring back a draft. All right, Revelation 6:3, it says, and behold, he had opened the second seal. I heard the second beast say, come and see. And then went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. And that was given to him a great sword. Okay, and that sword is talking about the war. Okay, this is weaponry, it's military. All right. So anyway, a quick lesson. All praises and glory and honor is due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Lord's will you edify. To the next lesson.